Here be monsters! Wait, I'm pretty sure that I've used that introductory slogan before, but still, you know how the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And do you know what certainly doesn't need fixing? The trajectory that this current list series is taking, because holy moly, I love nothing more than traversing the plains of fantasy, sci-fi and horror literature and picking a fight with some of the most terrifying monsters that have ever been inked on the page. Now, whilst we've covered some pretty downright horrifying creations so far, I've been saving a few entries on this list for something quite special. So choose your weapon and let's get adventuring. Hello horror fans, what's going on? And once again, welcome back to the Scary channel on YouTube, top 5 scary videos. As per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch. As today we curiously take a look at the top 5 most terrifying monsters in literature, part 4. Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, that clip was from the fantastic 2017 horror The Ritual, and yeah, whilst that may be spoilers, it certainly depicts one of the most terrifying monsters in mythological literature, the Jotun of Norse legend. And really, if you've got the bollocks to square up to a Jotun with just an axe in your hand, you've earned my eternal respect, and you've probably learned a lesson or two on the way. Either or, it's a pretty apt setting for this list, so without further delay, let's take a look. Kicking off at number 5, the brain bug, Starship Troopers. The only good bug is a dead bug, and whilst we're certainly including the literary merit of this particular grubbity bug of pure horror, it is also worth noting that the cinematic depiction of this creature is also reason why it's making its way onto our list, because it's far, far better, and the 1997 movie is just downright awesome. You see, the thing is, the novel in question here, 1959's Starship Troopers, is a pretty crappy read. It's mainly droll in parts and it's overwhelmingly sensationalist, and that's even without discussing the connotations of fascism throughout, but still, the point is, it delivered to us one of the vilest and most skin-crawling concepts in speculative science fiction, the brain bug, which you may or may not be familiar with, hopefully not on a cerebral level. For those of you that don't know, Robert Heinlein's 1959 novel depicts a future society known as the Terran Federation, who are locked in an ongoing interstellar war between a race of pseudo-arachnids, or bugs, a spider-like extraterrestrial race of highly intelligent aliens that want nothing more than to eat the universe whole. Now, whilst this arachnid species has a highly complex caste system, workers, warriors, queens, chariot bugs, giant artillery bombardiers, the most powerful, most influential, and also most downright disgusting of them is the brain bug. And again, the vast horror crux of these creatures is down to what we don't know about them. But I mean, just imagine seeing one of these things. You see, brain bugs depend entirely upon their workers and warriors to survive. They're giant, bulbous, amorphous blobs of nerve tissue on tiny little barely functional legs propped up by a vile bloated body. Yeah, the fact that if any one of these bizarre creatures are destroyed, it pretty much ceases the arachnid's operations. Still, the fact that they even exist in the novel is unnerving enough. No thanks. Swinging in at number 4, The Callings, the Demon Cycle. And I for one am so damn happy that we can finally talk about this series, and whilst I still haven't gotten around to reading the 5th book in the series, The Core, believe me, these things are terrifying enough to make our list. They're also awesome, and also the fact that they only make it to the 4th spot on this list is pretty telling, because we've really got some doozies here. Well, Jack, spit it out, man. What the hell are you talking about? The Demon Cycle, Peter V. Brett's incredibly entertaining, if not slightly cliche, fantasy series. You see, I say that with love, because what Brett captures in this series evokes that same feeling of classic fantasy, golden axe fantasy, no nonsense, a hero, and a whole host of demons. Let me explain. In Brett's first novel, The Painted Man, it tells a tale of a world known as Thesa, a place under constant threat of the Callings, a hive of demonic creatures that emerge from the bowels of the earth every night to reap chaos and devour anything in their path. The thing is though, the only defense against these creatures are wards, magical ancient runes that can be drawn, painted, or inscribed on objects or people to form protective barriers around human settlements. And because of that, for time untold, the survivors of this plagued planet have lived in eternal fear behind their painted walls. Now, that's all you really need to know, because please read this series if you haven't, but the Callings involved throughout the series quickly evolve into something else entirely, and it's awesome. You see, although varied in type from wood demons to sand demons to fire demons and water demons, this series takes a terrifying and equally brilliant turn when the more advanced creatures of the core begin to emerge. I'll say nothing, but if you've ever wondered what a demonic insectoid hive of hell would look like, just read the Demon Cycle, because these things are certainly not the demons that we think we know. Also, allegedly, they're making a cinematic version of the series, so fingers crossed, but the books are awesome. Next up at number 3, the Steel Inquisitors, Mistborn. Now listen guys, I'm not going to even attempt to articulate the inner workings of Brandon Sanderson's remarkable fantasy series Mistborn other than skirt around the edges to give you an idea as to how utterly bleak and bizarre the Steel Inquisitors of legend actually are, whenever they rear their terrifying heads throughout the series, that is. You see, I saw this suggestion quite a few times for our previous list, and I thought long and hard about them fitting under the parameters of most terrifying, but on reflection, these guys are pretty much Pinhead in a fantasy series, so yeah, maybe that will give you an inkling as to what we're getting at. Now, whilst the Mistborn series, both the original trilogy and the second era, are literally an unrivaled demonstration in world building, the gist of it depicts a planet named Scadrial, a place devoid of life and colour under the tyrannical vice-like grip of the evil Lord Ruler. You see, the Lord Ruler has reigned over the planet for 1,000 years as an immortal tyrant god, thanks to his mastery of a magical discipline known as allomancy, the supernatural ability to essentially harness the properties of all metal. There's a lot more to it, but to enact his tyrannical will, the Lord Ruler created 16 horrifying constructs to embody his metallic dictatorship, the Steel Inquisitors, creations that were once human and powerful allomancers whose eyes have been carved out and replaced with large steel spikes. You see where I'm aiming with the whole Pinhead thing? The thing is though, each Steel Inquisitor has 11 spikes in all, 2 through the eye sockets, 1 in the middle of the spine, and 8, 1 for each known allomatic power, installed in their torso. You see, whilst it sounds terrible and painful for the Steel Inquisitors, it's not just for them, because through the power of allomancy, each spike is inserted by sacrificing the life of a misting, hammering metals through their hearts, just in order to create these abominations of magic. Yeah, sacrifices all round. Coming in at number 2, the Skaven Warhammer. The Skaven. Now we're really plummeting the depths, and I'm pretty certain we should turn back because this particular Under Empire is, well, it's pretty damn nasty. Now, I've seen a lot of you guys calling for some of the terrifying creations that linger in the grim darkness of the extended Warhammer 40k universe, but I'm pretty certain we don't need to plunder the depths of the far future to look for horror, because plain old regular Warhammer already harbours perhaps the most vile, disgusting empire of filth, plague and pestilence in any fantasy setting ever. You see, I remember back in the day as a wee lad picking up an issue of White Dwarf that had fully fleshed out the Skaven on its front cover and thinking, of course, how do you create the most disgusting swarm race in fantasy? You make them all gross, anthropomorphic rats. Why did it have to be rats? You see, for those of you that don't know, the Skaven, otherwise known as the Rat Men, the Ratkin, or in more formal terms, the Children of the Horned Rat, are perhaps the most malevolent and pure evil race in the whole of Warhammer Fantasy. It is not exactly known when and where the Skaven first occurred, and it's still up for debate as to whether they descended from a strange offshoot of mankind, or if they were evolved from a corrupted and mutated version of the regular old rat. Either way, I dread to think. One thing is certain though, out of all the violent and power-hungry empires in the known world, orcs and goblins included, none of them can compare to the pure relentless pursuit of destruction and power than that of the Skaven. You see, their unwavering belief stems from the promises made by their horrific and twisted deity, the Horned Rat, the harbinger of corruption and disease, who promised his vile rat children that one day, in the Great Ascendancy, they will rise up from the underbelly of the world and consume it entirely, living eternally as one giant rat planet. No thank you. And finally, coming in at number 1 spot, the Dark One, the Wheel of Time. I, for one, am quite surprised that we've made it this far without mentioning Robert Jordan's legendary fantasy series, The Wheel of Time, but hey, when time is of a cyclical nature, I guess that there's no time like the present? Yeah, sorry about that guys. You see, the thing is, Robert Jordan's incredible series covers such a monolithic scope that it's almost impossible not to feature a terrifying monster of literature somewhere between its many ages of civilization, but perhaps we can go one better here, because condense down all of the terrifying monsters in literature ever created and you have the very essence of them all, exactly what we have here. The Dark One, the Shayatan, the primordial sapient cosmic force of evil incarnate that's lingered in the universe since time forgotten. You see, it's difficult to describe such an overwhelming force, but perhaps that would give you an idea as to the impetus of why the Dark One has to take the top spot in our list. I mean, it is kind of cheating, but still, whichever name it goes by, evil is still evil. You see, the series itself covers incredibly large and weighted themes, mainly being the origin of creation and, you know, the meaning of life. But the thing is, here's the rub, and here's where things will get a little bit closer to the bone. You see, throughout the events of this series, it dawns on several characters that the havoc and utter chaos that the Dark One was able to wreak on the world was ultimately all facilitated, enabled, and carried out by human beings. Yes, the Dark One is indeed the cosmic embodiment of all of these things, but ultimately the consequences of humanity's collective suffering is always entirely down to the decisions of individual humans. Whoa, wow, thanks Mr. Jordan, or should I say Mr. Rigney Jr. You see, the Dark One is indeed the embodiment of evil, and its entire goal is to break free from its cosmic prison and remake creation in its own image. But it is the vessel of we humans that it's bound to enact that nefarious will, and it's in our choices that gives the Dark One that opportunity. The Wheel of Time, guys, it's more than just fantasy. It really is. Well, there we have it, folks. Our list for the top 5 most terrifying monsters in literature. Part 4. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? Have any more to add to this list? Then let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below, as well as any choice picks of your own. And who the hell knows? Maybe we can even take a stab at part 5. Yeah. Before we depart from today's video though, let's first take a quick look at some of your more creative comments from the past few days. First up, Dean Kroll says, am I missing something, Jack? Joe Cornish went on to direct Ant-Man and Star Wars, ? I think Peyton Reed and J.J. Abrams might have something to say about that one. Dean, my bad, dude. I'll hold my hands up. I meant to script, went on to be involved with, but I guess I'm so used to talking about directors that muscle memory in my fingers just type directed. I apologise sincerely for the misinformation. I am sorry. I'm sorry. And finally, StuGod5000 says, Jack, love the list. Just curious, have you read any of the works of Brom, Child Thief, The Devil's Rose, etc.? Really interesting horror fantasy and retelling with beautiful imagery. And hello, StuGod5000, thank you very much. And also, double thank you because I haven't read them or even ever heard of them. But consider me intrigued. I'll take a look. Cheers for the recommendation. Well, on that note, that's unfortunately all we've got time for in today's video. Cheers, stick around all the way until the end. If you were a fan of this video or just top 5 scary videos in general, please be a dear and hit that thumbs up button, as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host, Jack Finch. You've been watching top 5 scary videos, and until next time, you take it easy.